Hi, everybody. I am Liz Trotter. I am here with Smart Business Moves. I've got Trisha Lake as my co-host today. Woohoo! For those of you that know Trisha, woohoo, super excited. And then as our guest today, we have Curt Kempton, one of our all-time favorites. Yay!
Oh,
That's true. No, that's true, Curt. Um, and I'll tell you why. A lot of times I'll tell somebody, hey, you're one of my favorites. And I'll tell you what makes somebody one of our favorites. It's somebody that comes, they're prepared, they love the topic that they're talking about, they're excited about it, enthusiastic about it, and they want to share more than just talk. They don't just want to talk, they want to share as well. This is my favorites. I think
cool.
yeah, it's true. I
Well,
think
that
Tom
you.
might say people that can carry the show. That's probably his. All right.
Oh God.
So I do want to
Well,
talk real
thank
quick.
you.
You're welcome. I'm so happy to have you on here. I do want to remind everybody that's on for the podcast, you can't see, I think, the topic is selling with persuasion without sleaze. No
Yeah.
sleaze. Okay, no sleaze.
I
So
mean,
some people like some sleaze.
yeah.
Yeah. Right. We're gonna do without sleaze today. Trisha, we'll bring you on a different day for a little sleaze, right?
All right. I can rock that.
Oh gosh.
And Trisha, I would say that you're using sleaze in a different with a different definition because you sometimes have a little bit of I'm not sure the word sleaze is right, but
Hey, I one time did post myself on our company social in a bath towel. I mean,
but see, I'm not thinking that sleaze though. Still,
you do what you gotta do.
and you weren't selling to somebody saying, "Hey, if you buy my product, the towel goes off." That
Well,
wasn't the
it depends on how big the account was. I mean, come on. No. Joking.
Yes, I know you're joking. I do remember the post. It was amazing. You locked yourself out of your house. Is that right?
Something like that. Something like that. Yeah, I had to use my dad's shower, and so I brought my children over to my dad's shower. Oh, I think our water was out or something was happening.
Yeah.
And so I went to my dad's house to shower my children and me. And then, being a parent, I got them all their clothes and forgot to bring me clothes. And so I said, screw it. I'm going to drive home in a towel and just pray I don't get pulled over.
So, do you think you can overcome Trisha's desire to post about her sleaze?
Hey, listen. Here's what I always tell people: you sell to your unique self.
Uh-oh.
Some sort of really great, unique thing that she wants to put in the limelight. We all have our own businesses.
That's very true. I missed what you said when you froze, but I think I agree.
I'm sorry. I hope I'm not freezing like crazy right now.
No, you only froze one time, and it was only when you said the key part of your message.
Oh, your unique selling proposition. I said if Trisha's got something unique that she wants to present to her customers, that's her prerogative.
Trisha, do not take this as a tacit understanding.
A challenge.
To remove the no.
Hey, I sell that all of us are hot messes in the world today, and that's why we need help.
Oh, look at Paul Freed in there now. Paul, you can't call him a hot mess though. He's a styling guy. Hey, Paul, good to see you. All right, Curt. So you're going to share with us some great. So I know that you do a ton with ResponsiBid, with Persuasion, and not Hey Don, and not with obviously not the sleaze. But talk to us a little bit about that. I know you always have a strong philosophy behind what you do, and so feel free to chat with us about that.
Well, I mean, my philosophy on sales is that you basically are trying to help a customer get as much of what they want that you can get for them. And sometimes when I say that, people are like, oh, but Curt, I don't want to be everything to everyone. And I hope that no one misinterprets it to mean that, because it's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is when you become the expert at what you do, I think that, well, it depends on probably how you're raised and your attitude around salespeople. If your attitude, like me when I grew up, if your attitude around salespeople is that they're manipulative people who bang out as much as they can to get as much commission as they can, then you probably will combat that by being a very soft-spoken salesperson, which I created a whole software to help me get past this so that my cold and heartless software could follow the proper best practices, because my own emotional psyche was keeping me from doing it. So if emotionally you find that you're constantly pulling back, trying to save your customers money, not presenting all of the things that you can do, not allowing your customer to get all of the things together they should in order to have the best possible experience, then you're probably coming from a similar place that I did originally, which is to say that you're so watching out for the customer that you end up not taking care of them. And so watching out for the customer that you're actually running a charity that for some reason can never make a profit. So I think that resonates with a lot of different people. There's some people who are natural born salespeople who didn't grow up with some of these stigmas that I did. Maybe I'll just ask you, Liz, did you guys grow up with a stigma around salespeople, or is this sort of like something that's foreign to you guys?
I did grow up with that stigma as well. Like if you heard just the term salesman, salesperson, instantly I'm thinking somebody who's going to drive hard, be really pushy. They don't really care what I care about. They talk too much and they're just pushy. Basically, I think pushy.
Yeah.
More than sleazy, pushy. How about you, Trisha?
I think that, no, I didn't grow up like that. My dad was a salesman, and so I grew up like watching him be entrepreneur and salesman. And so I didn't have that thought process. Now, as an adult, I see two different directions of salespeople, right? I see the very aggressive, very pushy side. But I think in our industries, we believe in what we're doing. And when we believe in what we're doing, we can be thinking of our sales tactics as a way that we're helping our clients. And so by not giving them all their offerings and all the things, you're actually hurting them that way. So if you believe in your service, I think that having good sales systems is just taking care of your clients.
And I think that's where I really lived in a weird spot. I knew I needed to, when I started my window cleaning and pressure washing company, I knew I needed to feed my family. I knew I was going to do a good job. I knew that I had to do this work. And then the first thing I figured out is I had to sell the work. And I was in this weird conundrum. Trisha, I believed in it a ton. Like I knew I could work hard. I'd been taught, my mom taught me to work hard. My dad taught me to work hard. But as soon as I get into that sales situation, I would turn into a totally like, I would undersell myself so much. I would constantly tell them, oh, you don't need to worry about that. I'll just throw it in for free, or I won't do it. You don't need to pay for it. And
it's almost like guilty, or
yeah, like a guilt.
Insecure or guilt of like, you know, it's the same thing with people do in-home estimates and give pricing in person. They tend to have a hard time delivering the actual correct price. Like in the past for my company, we used to underbid things in person because you'd be staring at the client going, I'm sorry, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I get that.
And it's I think I should point out that anyone who is resonating with this right now, I think it's important that they understand that it's all in your head. Mm-hmm. Like I actually have had I probably should have gotten therapy, but in the retrospective, I actually believe that I in person undersold jobs because I was afraid of rejection. I was afraid of feeling like I wasn't their friend. Like we made a connection in person. If they didn't accept my bid, maybe they don't think I'm a good person, or like I'm not worthy of being their friend or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Or that they are, that is their vote for whether or not you're a good person, or vote for whether or not you're a good job. I buy, yes, check, you're good. I don't buy, no, you're bad.
Yeah.
And then that invalidation sort of can really, one non-sale against 10 sales stands out. Like it's still like it's so much more potent.
Yeah.
So Paul makes a good point here. I see you just highlighted this. And I feel like what Paul's referring to is sort of something that I found out, which is sort of how I started working toward the whole ResponsiBid software was I saw that people were going on to Amazon and buying things more than books. I saw people were going to eBay at the time and buying all sorts of crazy things offline. And people were getting a taste for this sort of like no pressure, but in my own house, in my underwear experience. And it started to become more of a, like, you can write anything you want about this thing and I'll fall in love with it to the extent I fall in love with it and make a decision, yes or no. And I think that flips something in my brain to go, this isn't about, I think when I identified as a salesperson, I had a personality complex for the same reasons that Liz brought up earlier about like, ooh, the word salesperson is so evil. And Trish, I think you were super blessed to grow up in a family with an entrepreneur who's a salesperson because you saw that a good man would go to work and provide for your family doing that. I didn't have that. And so as time went on, I started realizing, wait, my website could be the salesperson, or this form could be the salesperson, or just this process. I would go in person and I would just go check. And then I had a little BlackBerry Storm with an Excel sheet on it, put the numbers in. I would write the numbers in. I would go, all right, according to the calculator, salesperson, right? I am now presenting to you, yes, or yes, right? And in that moment, that was a major transformation for me to help people understand that we have a process. You've now entered into the process, and I'm going to be the one who's presenting the process to you. Well, that opened up this whole idea of, with Persuasion, the ability to bring in best practices that are systematically being applied and allowing customers to sort of move into this new world of choice buying. Like, back in the day, you walk into a general store and you would buy the toothbrush that general store carried. Now, we could choose from millions of toothbrushes. Do you want it to be electric? Do you want it to be ultrasonic? Do you want it to be, any color you want?
Disposable.
Yeah. And so now this new economy is really a customer-driven economy. We're checking out our own groceries at the grocery store. We have millennials that are coming up spending money now that don't even talk to humans anymore. They just text. And if you're not in my circle of 15 friends or one of my 4,000 followers, I'm not interacting with you. And so this is posing sort of a new buying cycle. It's not to say that the old one doesn't work anymore. It's to say there's a lot of people you may not even interact with anymore if you don't move to this new sort of model that people are buying in. And it just opens so many doors to open some new best practices to be able to provide customers a way for them to give themselves reasons to upsell, buy more. And as Trisha put, to get the best experience, like to take care of them the best you possibly can. But it was their idea. And that's where the power really lies.
And I don't know about you guys, but like the times that like I have available to do stuff like, get a quote for different things like that, it's when I'm laying in bed at 10 o'clock at night, I'm thinking in my head, okay, what do I need to do? Like, that's when I would be getting a quote for house cleaning or lawn care or things like that. So having a simple way to be able to get those instant things is really actually beneficial because you're not going to be like a salesperson on the phone at 11 o'clock at night, right? But
yeah. No, actually,
people are the same way where that being able to self-serve is really nice for them.
No, actually, that is one of the points of Persuasion is being able to meet the person where they're at.
And when they want it.
And where they want. Yeah. So if you did pick up the phone at 10 o'clock at night, which is highly unlikely because number one, your expectation is the phone won't get answered anyway. And then number two, there's probably people in the house that you wouldn't want to disturb. And so you wouldn't. But some people would say, well, I want to be more personal with my customer. Well, where they're at is they're laying in their bed.
Yeah, they don't want you to call at that moment.
Yeah. And so if they do a Google search and it says, get a quote for house cleaning, if the best option available to them is put your name, your phone number, and your email address in here, and we'll call you as soon as we can, that serves the customer to a certain level, but it doesn't meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
It doesn't. When you call or email them back, they will be in a different place when you guys communicate again.
Right.
Now, it might be a similar place. It could very well be a similar place. Oh, did I freeze again?
No, you're there.
Okay. It might be a similar place, but it probably won't be the same place. And so anyway, I think it's a good point, Tricia, to bring up is that like you need to meet that customer to be fully persuasive. You have to hit them in the moment of their most sort of emotional, compelled state towards you.
Another cool thing is that some clients, they don't want to talk on the phone. They want to, I mean, I'm a phone person, so I would much rather pick up the phone, have a 10-minute conversation and be done. But there's a lot of people that would much rather just email back and forth when it's convenient for them or text back and forth. But if you call them, they'll be like, why are you calling me? You know? So again, having a system like this allows it to be where they can, you know, they can call into your office to get quotes, or they can do this, right?
Yes.
So you're meeting their needs of whatever they want.
The options.
And at the risk, as you say, at the risk of this turning into a ResponsiBid commercial, I think that the most important psychological thing to identify is how are you meeting the person where they're at when their thoughts are like this, or when the conditions at night are like that, or when, you know, whatever, for a business that has to maybe call and get several quotes, how are you meeting them where they're at? I was just on an airplane talking to a guy who owns a window cleaning company here in Arizona. He cleans the Sky Harbor Airport, and he talked about what it means to meet them where they're at. It's a massive amount of hoops you have to jump through, and it really was fascinating to hear. But you know, meeting them where they're at allows him to charge, and I probably shouldn't share very much specifics, but he charges far more money, and your eyes would pop out of your head if you knew how much he charges for one single cleaning, more than the next lowest bid, which he was by far the highest. But because he understood every single thing that the airport needed in order to like score the bid, and that cost only accounted for like I think 30 or 40% of what it was. It was less than half of their scoring system. But he had taken the time to figure out, he designed that particular quoting process to be around what their needs were and where they're at. And I feel like that's what you were just talking about, Tricia, for the homeowner. There's a person who is like this. That's our avatar. Where are they at? We have another person. We have a scheduling time. Almost everyone who calls in at this time will be at this place. And if you were designing your sales process to be there for that person, it's just going to flow to you at that point.
Right.
So, Curt, I have a horrible lag here. But I have a question also. You had referenced a couple of times a point of persuasion, making it seem like you have maybe a list of points.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to share?
Yeah. I would love to. There are many of them. Maybe I'll just share a few of my favorites. We can hone in on anything you guys want. Tricia, if you've got any that you want to share too, I don't want to like dominate this whole conversation.
No.
But there is one that comes right to mind the moment I think about it. And that is when you present your pricing to your customer, it needs to feel like a whole entire solution. Now, the problem that I had in my window cleaning company is that I would give people estimates that said upstairs windows this much, downstairs windows this much, inside downstairs windows this much, inside screen cleaning, track cleaning, and it looked so cool because it was so customizable. My customer could like go through it, but it wasn't a solution. It was like a chore. It's sort of like when you go to a restaurant and like, do you guys want an appetizer? Do you want a main course? What do you want for all of your sides? What do you want to drink? It is nice and customizable, but for a guy like me, like the friction of all these decisions will cause me to order far less than when I sit down in a restaurant. They go, "This is our chef's recommendation. This is blah, blah," and I can just make one single choice that will solve my hunger problem and my enjoyment problem with my company that I'm sitting with. And so I would highly encourage, when we're talking about good, better, best, there's a reason that it's in a 3. Good, better, and best allows for enough information to make a choice, but not so much information that I feel like I'm being crippled. And it's a very fine line.
Overwhelming to the client. They'll just leave at that point, because now instead of solving their problem, now we're creating another problem, and they're all going to be overwhelmed for it. Clients come to us because they need help, whether they're overwhelmed with, time in their lives or, everything else. They're coming to us to solve an issue. And so, if we make that bidding process difficult, they'll just say, forget it, I'll just do it myself.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and it's even more than that, to the point of like persuasion, like Liz was asking about. If the customer feels like they are given a solution that solves their problem from an expert's perspective, and you come to them like, oh yeah, we know people like you, and people like you always seem to just love it when we do this kind of thing. Now, people like them might live in their neighborhood and have similar economic status. People like them might be lawyers who make many dollars per hour and do not want to be bothered for more than 10 seconds about this. Or it might be someone who's, and they're a busy person that just doesn't want to think about it anymore. People like you could mean so many different things. Yeah. And that's where understanding your customer base and making these expert presentations is your perspective of what solutions you provide and how they pair together. And it's your perspective of, I know my customer base, you are a Sally, and that Sally avatar just really needs to have these options put before them. And the friction just goes away.
I love that. One of the things that you are mentioning right here is that you don't just have one avatar. A lot of times people are thinking that they just have one avatar, one client. This person doesn't fit in. Okay, I don't want them. But I love the idea of multiple avatars. Yeah. And these are all people that want your same basic service. Yeah, should you have one that is like your main one? These are the people that buy the most of my service, of course. But you have other ones that also buy a lot of your stuff if you let them. Mm-hmm. I love that idea.
And you probably shouldn't have 100 avatars. I think you're right. Like you should have one you focus on. Probably no surprise to you. I believe you should have 3 avatars, 3 distinct avatars that you're trying to sell, usually 3 different options to each. Now, that doesn't mean that one option for avatar wouldn't carry over to another one, because it probably would actually. But if you can serve 3 distinct avatars that you think you know inside and out, you're probably focused enough to do a good job and not leave people hanging. And you're probably diverse enough that you're going to be able to have a fairly large market.
Nice. I love it. I'm a big believer in the power of 3. There are a lot of things that, there's a lot of research out there too about the power of 3. 3 is just such an awesome little number right there. So I think that makes really good sense. I just realized that Trisha and I, we know you really well. And so we just started chatting with you. But some people have never heard of you.
What? Some never know Curt. How is that possible?
I know, right? And they probably have never heard of ResponsiBid either. And they probably are like, who are these people? And what are they talking about right now? How about you just give us a real quick, and I'll pop your website up in the chat for everybody. But maybe you could just quickly give everybody who you are, what you do.
Yeah, I started a window cleaning and pressure washing company back when I very first got married a number of years ago. Like, gosh, I guess I've been married like 24 years now, 23 years. So back in the very early days, I started a cleaning company and sort of dealt with that identity crisis I was talking about earlier as far as, oh my gosh, I'm an entrepreneur salesperson. And I immediately started trying to figure out like how to sort of like sales. I'm not getting away from sales. I got to get this done. but how am I going to do it in the best way possible? And I started doing a lot of studying in how successful companies were doing it. And I started building my process around sort of making it about the process. And eventually that ended up sort of creating a software. And now ResponsiBid is the software. And I've actually sold my cleaning company, gosh, I guess we're almost like maybe 8 or 9 years ago now. And I've just been in the software game. But my focus with the software ResponsiBid is on quoting, follow-up, and scheduling. Now we're not a CRM, so like you wouldn't use us like as a standalone software. We're a sales funnel that goes on top of a CRM. So companies like Jobber and House Call Pro we connect with, and Service Monster. Unfortunately, we still haven't gotten some of these maid service CRMs like Maid Central and some of the others that I know a lot of people are super like using a lot. We just have had so much going on. We haven't been able to like really deviate out into other CRMs, but the software is designed, even if you're not integrated with it, the whole point of the software is to quickly and efficiently get a quote that a customer can quickly and efficiently make a decision, move from research mode to decision mode. And then from there, if you are integrated with your CRM, we actually can read your calendar or even a Google Calendar, and we can find the most efficient drive times so that when they make that decision, we can quickly commit them to a date and time of service so that it's efficiently scheduled to the right crew who can do the type of job that you're scheduling for the right amount of time at a place where you're not driving around too much. And that's sort of what ResponsiBid is in a nutshell. Most people know us as an online quoting software, even though that's one of 3 ways that you can give a bid with ResponsiBid: online, in person, or over the phone. So I've been doing that for so long now, and now my kids have all grown up. Everybody at my house wears ResponsiBid shirts. People joke we don't even have like any other brand shirts. When we go to church on Sunday, we wear button-up like shirts and ties, and then like we're immediately home back in ResponsiBid clothes. So it's just part of our family at this point.
Yeah, it is who you are, obviously. Yeah, you eat, sleep, and breathe ResponsiBid. Okay, so I thank you for giving us that. It's super helpful for a lot of people. But I have a couple of questions. You said that there are some software programs that you do integrate with that would it's kind of a no-brainer for those businesses, right, that are using that software. Can you list those off for us again?
Sure. Customer Factor, Jobber, House Call Pro, Service Monster. I know I'm forgetting a couple others. Those are some really big ones. Honestly, if you're a Jobber user or a Service Monster user and you're not using ResponsiBid, that's like, or House Call Pro even, I guess. Like, we are so deeply connected to those companies. Oh, Market is it? Have you guys heard of the Market CRM? Markate, Market. That's another one that we tie into. We don't hear as much about them, but they've been growing quite a bit lately.
Okay, I want to look into them. So when you were talking about Jobber, or I think it was House Call Pro, is that the one that you're really into? I have to tell you that the image that popped into my head was, and you said if you're not using us, the image that popped into my head was Julia Roberts with all those bags. Big mistake. Big mistake.
You should be doing a commercial, actually, Curt. That's good.
Yeah, that's instantly popped into my head. Y'all need to be using. Well,
big mistake.
We do have Circle members that are using Jobber and also House Call Pro, and I will make sure and let them know that this is like a no-brainer. They got to jump on board here. What do they do, Curt? Do they just go to responsibid.com? And how do people do it? What's the easy way?
You go to responsibid.com and schedule a demo. You can actually, we have a guy, John does basically all of our demos. He will walk you through sort of what your process is. Like, he will understand all of that, and then he'll sort of show you how that would look inside of ResponsiBid and different best practices that you might be able to change with that. Okay. And then if you decide to move forward with John, basically the next step is that you would actually work with an account success rep, a success coach, and their job is to take you through the 6 steps of setup. We just recently coined it. It's the 6 steps to success. And basically, they walk you through systematically sharing your screen of getting all your automation set up. One of the biggest pain points of ResponsiBid is that you have to download your brain into the software, and it does the same thing every time. It's a process, but it has to do the right thing every time. If it does the wrong thing every time, it's super annoying as a business owner and even for your customers. So what we've done is we've really doubled down on our investment into the screen share setup and really customizing what comes out of your head and goes into your software so that you can know that it's going to work the day you start using it.
And it works really well. I use ResponsiBid. I switched over from the in-home estimates, every single in-home estimate, and 5 years ago, I was kind of one of the last people that was still doing in-home estimates because I believed in them and I loved the bonding with the clients. And I think I had finally burnt myself out of attempting to do them for so long. So when I wanted to make that switch over to online system, I was slow to go, but ResponsiBid was really great. It was definitely awesome. So
did you use it in person as well, or did you only use it when you went to online?
No, I think we did all of our quotes through there. Yeah. So all quotes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was how our service team got their pricing structure and everything. So every quote went through.
That's my recommendation is usually if someone says, I want to do online quotes, that's why I'm here. Okay, cool. Let's get 15 in-person quotes under your belt using it. You'll build the trust with the system to know that it's doing what it's doing. You don't want to have two systems do the same thing. Otherwise, you don't have a system at all. So you want to use it for that in-person stuff. But Tricia, I think that burnout that you said, that resonates so much with me. I was at a conference last week in Nashville. I was talking to a friend and he's like, Curt, you want to start back over again? I'm like, do I get to bring all my knowledge? He said, yeah, but you have to be just as tired as you are now. I said, no, I don't know about that.
I think starting these businesses are hard. And I don't know if I have the spirit in me anymore to ever to rewind time and start again.
What about you, Liz? You never run out of energy.
I like to just start new businesses. I think that sounds more fun. It's more fun. But you know what? I know quite a few people that had a cleaning business and then they moved and they had to start over. I was going to say all of them, but that's not true. But the vast majority of them were able to grow their businesses so much more quickly.
Oh, absolutely. Because you have that knowledge. You know what you did right and you know what you did wrong. That's what I'm saying, though, is if we rewound time, but didn't have the knowledge, now, to go start another company after 13 years for me of everything in my head, okay, yeah, no problem. I know exactly what to do. But 13 years ago, I had no idea what I was doing.
Same.
Yeah. But the tired thing does come in. But if you're starting a business with all the knowledge, I don't think you ever get as tired again as you were initially.
I think you're right about that. I will say, we're watching businesses at ResponsiBid. We're seeing them hit $1 million. It used to be a very rare thing to see a business hit $1 million annually. And it's happening so fast, every day now, people are just skyrocketing. And I think it's just the new ability to share knowledge, people to avoid the school of hard knocks a lot better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right that when I first started, I graduated from ASU's business college. It's called the W.P. Carey School of Business at ASU. I graduated as the outstanding graduating student in my class. Rachel, my wife, was like, when I came home that night, she's like, we were going, I wasn't planning on being at graduation, but they called me and they're like, you need to be here. You need to be in your seat. Yeah. So I go up, I get the award. I'm shocked. Holy cow. You guys have very low standards. Then I get in my car, we go home, and my wife's like, we're going to be rich, aren't we? I guess so. I'm a pretty big deal. And then I started my cleaning company, and they're like, okay, LLC, S Corp, C Corp. I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, okay, well, how do you want to, like, you want to set up QuickBooks? And I'm like, all right, accountant, I'm out of here. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, so I just felt like I left business school thinking that I had all of the stuff that I needed. I literally had maybe a 2% advantage over someone who hadn't been to school. And it was such a bummer. And now I look at what people are getting, this real knowledge, this real coaching, this real advice from people who are veterans in the industry. And I'm like, that's what I needed. That's what I should have been going to.
So fast, so easy. Nobody's making those same mistakes. And really, another really big thing is they're not entrenching in the big mistakes. You know, back in the day, people would make a big mistake. They didn't know, and they would just entrench in this really big mistake and keep it going for years and not even have a clue. Now, if you get entrenched now, you're stubborn, right? Because there are enough people out there telling you stop doing that you're just being stubborn, right?
And I see some of, like some of the smaller businesses are still trying to make it, I see them like looking for all this advice and stuff, and I'll recommend different classes or, our courses or list your courses and stuff, and people be like, oh man, that price. But I'm like, that is so cheap. That's giving you 13 years of knowledge and mistakes and like, oh my gosh.
And you're going to grow so much.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Tricia, that's a great segue into the program that we're putting on in July. Can you tell people about it real quick? Because I hate when I'm in any one of these presentations, and then the whole end is a whole big gigantic pitch. So we never do that here. But if you have something there somewhere along the road, share it. So why don't you go ahead and share the event in July, Tricia?
Okay, so we're doing an employee ROI event in the end of July, and it's going to be in at my office, Fargo, North Dakota. And so we're going to be bringing in entrepreneurs, and they can be bringing their managers if they'd like as well. It's going to be a 2 to 3 day course, so 2 days of class time. We're actually going to be working on and building career ladders. We're going to be building nurture programs for staffing. We're going to be building development. Basically, all the hard things that are difficult for our industry is employees. Employees is the hardest part of our industry. And so if we can teach a room full of people how to conquer that problem, then it'll just be awesome. So 2 days of classes of, you're going to walk away with all kinds of different stuff. And then the third day, we're going to do a VIP day at the lake, which is going to be some barbecuing, chilling, boat rides, jet skis, and then round tables where we will talk business while having some drinks. But some of the things we're going to be talking about here is, or teaching anyways, we're going to have marketing to your most important clients, design by culture, organizational goals, and do they make sense? We're going to be teaching.
I'm going to cut you off.
Okay.
I'm going to cut you off because I don't want to turn into just every single thing, right? What's the cost, Tricia?
Oh, it's helped me out again.
I can't remember either.
I can't remember either. I know it's under $2,000. It's insanely cheap. I thought it should be way more than that, truthfully.
I know. Sorry. So this, Curt, this goes to your point. Okay.
Yeah, I paid $30,000 a semester for garbage.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So first, I'm going to tell everybody, you can go find out all the details that Tricia is talking about at coreprofitbuilders.com.
Yeah.
I'll put the link in. But I'm trying to pull up the price here real quick because I don't like it when people don't tell you what the price is.
I know. I remember it was under 2 because I was thinking it should be more
But to the point, what she just said, Curt, was how she thought it should be a lot more. Mm-hmm. And I fall into the trap, just like you said, of no, it can't. We need to keep it lower. We have to do that thing. So, okay, I got the pricing. Regular price is $19.95. Anybody that's a member of one of our circles, it's $16.95, and then you can bring a guest for $9.95. All right. So
wow.
I do want to get that out there.
And then what is lodging? What is lodging like in North Dakota? Like, do you guys have like big hotels and stuff there?
Yes, we have hotels.
No, that's what I was like. Do they have to bring tents? It's Fargo, right?
I've never been to North Dakota. I'm so afraid. And you said it's in July. I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So yeah. So we have great, beautiful hotels and normal lodging places. There's also restaurants and cars here too.
Got cars. No dog sleds? What about the dog sleds? How do they get around?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen those in a while.
But aren't you also thinking they're going to have a lot of weird people there, right?
No, actually, I've met so many people from North Dakota. It actually seems like a bunch of like super chill people hanging out. Maybe even like they're basically Canadians in America or something.
Oh,
like super fun people. So I knew it wouldn't be weirdos, but I did wonder, like, how does I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. So just to be clear, like snow is freaky to me.
Okay, there's no snow in July. It's beautiful in July.
Yeah.
We're gonna
so
be
that's
going,
why I was like,
yeah. So on the third day, we're gonna be going to the lake and hanging out at the lake and jet skiing. No snow.
No, I mean July in North Dakota sounds like, you know what July in Phoenix is like?
Terrible.
Yes,
Phoenix
it's very hot.
like,
I used to live in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like every year, I have lived here for 43 years, my whole life. It happens every year. One day in July, I'll open the door and walk outside, and I'll be like, "You gotta be kidding me!" That's how hot this is. It's unreal.
We have a lot of clients that are like seasonal. They go back and forth from Fargo to Phoenix, like, every 6 months, whichever weather's better.
It's too crazy in Phoenix.
Yeah.
I think it's better if you live there because you acclimate. If you try to visit Phoenix in July or August, I almost can't breathe.
Yeah, it's hot.
It's so oppressive. The heat is.
No, we should have had this event in Fargo in January. That would have been fun.
No, absolutely not.
That would have been so hilarious to see all of our Southern friends like coming and crying and stuff.
Yeah. All right, so I wanted to share that with everybody because to Curt's point and to your point also, Tricia, it's so true. Yeah. You got to take advantage of the knowledge that is here today. There's just no sense in not taking in all the wisdom as long as you do one thing. Take the advice, do the thing.
Yeah.
Too often, and I want to talk to you a little bit about this, Curt, because I know you have this experience too. You go, you get the advice, you take the advice, but you don't actually put it into place. And I know you did say that, Tricia, to make sure that it was clear to people, we're going to be building stuff on site, right? People are going to go home with it.
I think that's really helpful because I went to a lot of classes. I've done a lot of things myself because I love learning. And it's easy to go back into your company and get into the whirlwinds of things.
Yes.
And then, I have a class recently I went to a couple months back that I still have things on my to-do list because I've got back into the whirlwinds of things. And so it's nice to be able to, when you're away from your business, to be able to actually start building stuff to implement. Because if you don't implement the stuff, the course isn't worthwhile. You got to implement it.
Yeah, you got to do it. Yeah. All right. So also going to the expert, right? Taking the advice and doing the thing. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that, Curt. Do you run into that with ResponsiBid? Because people come to you with fully formed businesses and they've already been doing sales their way. I'm sure you have to be running into situations where people think their way is the best way. Yeah?
Yeah. It's fair too. Like if you've got a 25-year-old business and you come into another company that is recommending you tweak it or something, like you're comfortable where you've been and you know the devil that you know, right? Yeah. Even if you don't think it's perfect, you know it and you're comfortable around it. But yeah, that's certainly, I would say when someone signs up for ResponsiBid and then doesn't stick with it for, let's say 3 or 6 months, something like that.
Yeah. Usually
that is a big sign that somebody was already super comfortable and we call it building the hang glider and not jumping. So basically they come up to the top of the mountain with their success coach, they build everything all out, they're super excited about how it's looking. And then when it's time to launch, what'll inevitably happen is they'll be like, you know, I'd like to tweak this a little more.
One more
Let's
thing.
tweak it. And you can see it coming like a freight train. You know what's getting ready to happen. And then at some point, they do a quote with it. And then it's not the way that they like, because they want it to be different, right? That's why I signed up. So they'll set up ResponsiBid, and then they'll do the quote. And they're like, I'm more familiar with it being this other way or whatever. And that's usually a sign of someone who's got to figure out, are you going to jump? You're enjoying watching everyone else flying around the hang glider. Are you going to jump? And frankly, the fear of heights is so real. I worked at a girls' camp as a rappelling instructor, and those are the most exhausting days. Rappelling, are you familiar with like going down a mountain, like on a rope, rappelling down?
Oh, okay. I was thinking like mosquito repelling.
Oh, no. So we'd be at the top of this cliff, and like let's say she's 12 to 15-year-old girl would be clipped into a harness, and then she'd be clipped into 2 ropes. One rope I control, one rope that she can control. We teach them all how to do it in sort of a classroom setting. And then they got their helmet on, they got all the stuff, and they're all at the edge of the cliff. One rope can hold 5,000 pounds. 2 ropes can hold 10,000 pounds. These girls weigh about 17 pounds. They're like these little tiny featherweight children. But inevitably, there's some girls that are going to get to the top and be like, yeah, woo! And they're like going down and like they're having a great time. And then right behind that girl
is me.
Just shaking.
Yeah.
And never mind the fact that we could pick the car that they came up with. You know, we could pick that up on the mountain with the ropes, but it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that when you're looking over the edge and you're like, that's like 200 feet down. Like, don't worry, I got you at the top. I'm going to control it. This is so strong. I'm watching you the whole time. I can't do it. And, you know, they miss an experience, but you know, because you're not going to force someone down. Like, you're going to give them a complex. So a lot of these girls, they'll come back up to the top. We'll unhook them. We'll send them off, and they'll miss the experience. And it's a shame. But at the end of the day, like, that's sort of our right as an entrepreneur, is to sort of like push our limits, break through the ones that we can, and then like sort of like just let go, like the stuff that we can't, like, if you just can't do it, build the best business you're capable. One of our company values is we're building the best company we're capable of. And, you know, some people might look at our business and go, wow, you guys should have taken on investment money and grown really big, really fast, and hired 7,000 engineers and stuff. But you know, that for me, that's the cliff that I'm like, I want to know every employee. I want to know, like, I want to know everything that's going on in the business, even though I'm not doing it all. I just love the organicness of a company that has no politics, and that everyone loves each other, and that everyone loves the product and our customers and everything. And so I look at people who don't jump off the cliff with their hang glider, and I go, it's a shame, but I'm not jumping off of the hang glider with venture capital, you know. So what are you going to do?
And sometimes it's just a matter of yet, right? Maybe they're not jumping off today, but there's nothing. I know that you've had this situation as well. People come to ResponsiBid, they don't jump off, and then 3 months later they come back. Now they're ready to jump.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes it takes a while. Tricia, you were actually just talking about this today in the circle, right? You were talking. You were talking. Well, no, not the jumping, not the hang gliding jumping thing. No. No. Oh shoot! I totally lost my point.
I lost it too. I don't remember. So.
Trish was talking about what? What? Tell me what she was talking about.
Yeah, thank you for that. That was helpful. Yeah. So when you mentioned that you didn't want to jump because you wanted to be in a company where you know all the people like themselves, you know, like each other, and there's not like the drama and all of that. You were talking about that today, Tricia, when people were talking about hiring and you know, what do they do? And you kept making the point, hey, if you have a company where everybody likes each other and they have a great culture, they stay. You don't have to worry about this other problem. Yeah. So that's kind of back to responsive. I know it doesn't sound like it's seamless, but it feels like it to me, because today, I mean, with ResponsiBid, when you have people that don't want to do it, once they do see what it's like and they experience it, how many people leave?
Well, our retention rate, if someone's been with us for like 8 months, I think it is, they're with us basically for life.
Forever.
Yeah.
And it's a setup that takes a minute to understand and get. But once it's like solid, it's good, and so I can see that.
Yeah.
And every single person, I've said this multiple times, every single person that I personally know that uses ResponsiBid loves it. Loves it. And has only glowing things to say about not only just the sales, which is of course awesome. That's what they need to be getting, right? The sales, but also the back end. Right? How the process works, how the system works. I can tell you that is not the experience that you're going to hear if you are talking to somebody about onboarding with my circles. And be like, what a train wreck. No, I'm not even kidding. Right? It's the truth. It's so horrible, right? It's something that we're working on. But that's not what we hear with ResponsiBid. Not at all. We hear how smoothly everything runs.
We actually just got, we don't get very many bad reviews. We did just get a bad review, and it was an interesting one. He said in the review, and it was a very well thought out Google review. You can go read it on our Google. He said, if you don't absolutely love the product, they will keep trying to get you to cancel. And he goes on and on about how I wish they would have just stopped trying to make me cancel. Well, he kept asking us to do stuff, I guess, with the software that it wasn't really designed to do. And one of the things that we are really passionate about is we want you to have an amazing experience. And so our support reps are trained to say, you know what, like if at any point you feel like you're not getting your ROI or this isn't the way you want to go, like we don't want you, like we have to earn your money every month. Like we want you to have a 10-to-1 ROI, and we want to be able to produce that for you every month. And so I guess the trainer, like they would meet regularly, and the trainer would say, if you want your money back, I'm happy to do that. I feel bad that I'm telling you we can't do the thing you're trying to do. That's not the kind of software we are, and all of that.
Yeah.
And the review was a 2-star review, and it really hurt my feelings because I'm personal like that, and I'm, like, oh man. But the more I read it, the more I was like, you know what? It's me. It's the extension of who I am and what my people are trained to do. That he actually says at the end, I've invested so much time and energy. I am going to make this work. I'm not going anywhere. And I'm like, so I was like, you know what? I'm glad you're here. But honestly, our approach to a fault, obviously to a fault, is, we just don't want to be pretending to be someone that we're not. And I think that's important. I think for, I've been in business for many years, and, these 2 different businesses, I guess I'm going on probably like 20 years of entrepreneurship. And I feel like one of the things I've learned the most is that your business is an extension of who you are. If you don't like going to work, it is your fault. And that's a crazy thing like most people can't say that. Most people who work for the man, like if you don't like where you work harder, shut up, work, out of sight of other people, do whatever you got to do to make it work. But like we get to like change our environment. We literally get to change our customers. We could say, I fire you as a customer because of X, Y, or Z. It's not worth not enjoying my job. So it's sometimes harder to practice than to preach, but it is the truth of it.
Oh, totally. That's my favorite thing about having my own businesses is I can do it the way I want to do it. Even if you don't think it's smart, doesn't matter. I get to do it my way. I get to do it how I want to do it. I know somebody, I was just having this conversation with somebody else he was irritated because a friend of his is not making as much money as he thinks she could make. He thinks she should be making a lot more money. And he's willing to help her and invest and do all the things to help her make a lot more money. But she just wants to do it her way. She's not, her focus is not on making more money. Her focus is on doing things the way she wants to do them. That's where she's finding her value. Yeah. So You know,
What are you going to say to that person? Like, that's like, oh, you just want to live a great life? Well, you have to have money.
All day, every day.
Yeah.
But you won't have enough money. You know, money's not the be all end all for everybody.
Yeah.
One of our company values is that we don't live to work, we work to live. And that's really twofold. Like, one is I don't obsess over work because it's the only thing in my life. I want to be a well-rounded human individual.
Yeah.
But I need to be compensated in a way that I can live life the way I need to. That's the one part of it. The other part is that I work to live. I am expressing myself in the work I do. And so it's sort of a play, and we obviously that's why there's sentences afterward in our company values so that people can all catch the drift. But I want my people to live while they're at work. And then of course we have to figure out the economics of it, which is, for some people, they need to have a lot of economics in order to do the expensive things they like to do to live. And then other people, like me, I can get on my tractor and 12 hours will disappear like that. And I'll have had the time of my life digging a hole. Like, that's all I need. Dirt and a tractor.
Digging the hole.
Digging a hole.
More property, bigger pieces of land so we can dig bigger holes. Dig bigger holes.
Now you're talking.
We don't need any more holes.
You just have to find somebody whose passion is filling in holes. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. So I think we're all kind of the same mindset, right? That you if you're an entrepreneur, you need to be able to do things your way so that you can enjoy your life. But I do still want to say that find a way to like the way that it should be done. So my husband had to go on a diet one time. Trisha, you'll be able to appreciate this, right? He had to go on a diet, and his doctor gave him this huge list of things that he could eat. And Tim asked him, so like what about all the other foods, like the other foods that I normally like? And he said, no, you're going to learn to like this food because this is the list that you can eat off of. And I think that that's true. If you're going to lose the weight, you got to learn to like what's on the list. So if you're going to use ResponsiBid, same thing. Do it this way. This is the smart way. This is what works. You guys have the proof. You have the data that says, listen, if you do it our way, then you're going to have, what'd you say? 10 to 1 ROI?
10 to 1 ROI, 10 to 1 minimum, 10 to 1 ROI. Yeah.
Minimum 10 to 1 ROI. But the minute people are going off script, my guess is that ROI goes down, because the reason why you have it set the way you have it is because this is how you're getting the max ROI. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. And we do, I should point out, it's very customizable. We can usually match up at least what someone does and then sort of output it in a way that's more presentable and help with all that. But yeah, you're right. You're right. Like it's a fine line. We want to take all the things you're doing that work and like bring that in to the customized side of it. Yeah. And then we want to take all the best practices and sort of output those.
Yeah. Take what you want to do, how you want to do it, and bring it into the system that you know works, and do it the best way possible. Made Central also is in the same exact boat. It runs a certain way, and if you use it this way, you'll make a ton of money. Now, if you modify it, will it still work? Absolutely. And there are some modifications that will work great, but you still have to use it the way it's intended to. You don't buy a what's that machine that's with the exercise machine with the big pulleys. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about like the flies machine?
Yeah, there's like a machine. It does all of these different things. You don't buy that machine and then sit on sit-ups. Right? Use it how
now hold on to them and then run.
use it the way it's intended. And the only reason I'm really saying this is because I have seen so many people use your program and have massive success. And sometimes what holds people back is they're like, yeah, but it doesn't work my way. get over yourself, right? Do what you want in some other places. Get on the program. I really want to push that everybody that uses the program has excellent success, and you can do it your way. So you see here, I posted in the notes, it's ResponsiBid, ResponSI, like responsibility, and then bid on the end. I saw somebody putting ResponsiBid a while back.
Yeah.
So responsibility, yeah, that's not
competitor.
Yeah, responsibid.com. And that's it. Do you have any last words for the audience here? We're top of the hour. We're actually a little bit late.
I think I've talked so much that my final words are this. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for sticking around. It was super fun chatting with you, Liz and Trisha. You guys are awesome.
Thanks,
I like
Kurt.
your Dunder Mifflin award in the background.
What'd you say?
My fine work award?
No, you got a Dunder Mifflin sign.
Oh, it's a ream of paper. It's a ream of Dunder Mifflin paper. You guys ever read it? Yeah.
I saw that.
I have my fine work award though. That's my Dundee.
Okay. Did you get it from ResponsiBid?
No, I just get gifts. People just bring me gifts all the time of all the office stuff.
Oh my gosh!
I had a toilet seat award. We had this competition in our office a couple years back for sales, and the award was a trophy of a toilet, and it was the funniest thing. And we actually ended up playing The Office, where each one of us was a character, and then we had sales words. It was fun.
Oh, how fun! Oh my gosh! All right,
a little competitive, a little fun.
Little bit. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for Kurt for coming and joining us. Thanks, Trisha, for helping out today.
Yeah,
Had a great
thank
time.
you.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. See you later.